Well, hello everybody. How are you doing? I am so sorry. I apologize. I have not been really active on TikTok or on social media because the month of May has really been very, I want to say assertive, has been really filled. That my schedule has really been filled. So I don't want you to think I'm not coming on. Just give me some time. Probably by the end of May, I can come back on as I usually do. For those of you that are following me, I will be in Buffalo, New York on the 24th of May. So next week I will be in Buffalo, New York. If you are in the mental health field or social work field, you go register, and I believe that you will be able to receive continuing education credit for the presentations, the seminars or the presentations. I'll give you a tidbit of some of the things that I'll be talking about, but I'm not going to give you everything. That means you have to go register, and I'll put the flyer on here so that you can register. You can scan the QR code to register. You know, some of the one of the topics, and I think I'm one of the presenters. But one of the topics that I am talking about narcissistic personality disorder and the difference between narcissistic traits versus narcissistic personality disorder. Those of you know that Miss Sandra Brown has spearheaded a new, I want to say genre. That's not the right terminology, but a new field of study within psychology, within the mental health field. For those of you that have been in the field for 20 to 30 years, you know, as she said, you know that when we were going through our graduate courses, preparing us to work in the field of mental health or in social work, you know, we were not taught how a person that has narcissistic personality disorder affects people around them. You know, one of the things that is being highlighted now, because we were learning about the disorder, so we were going out learning how to treat the disorder, but you know, and working with people that have been traumatized or were in what we would call a domestic violence situation, where they're changing, you know, it's like they're changing terminology to help people to understand, first of all, the difference, number one, between narcissistic personality disorder versus traits, because a lot of people are turned off, to include therapists, are turned off because a lot of popular psychology, what you call pop psychology, has given names like narcissist abuse, toxic relationships, psychopathic relationships, when there's actual terminology that is now applied, which is pathological love relationships. And when you're dealing with pathological relationships, the result of being in a pathological relationship is trauma. So for most people, the theory or the way that we were taught to treat people that have been traumatized in situations like this is the domestic violence model. You know, treating it as a domestic violence situation, which studies have shown is very ineffective when you're dealing with people that have pathological meaning abnormal, or pathological disorders such as narcissistic personality disorder. And also the approaches, you know, most people are not trauma informed. And when I say trauma informed care, trauma informed helping to understand how to treat trauma and the diagnosis, because also narcissists have been misdiagnosed in the setting of therapy, mental health, as well as people that are coming out. And most of us know that when we are in treatment with a survivor of this type of abuse, number one, a lot of the terminology is not there. You know, we applied a lot of the pop culture terminology, which some of that is now being integrated in there, like love bombing, and we're talking about the narcissist abuse cycle, which is more intense than the general domestic violence cycle that we know. There's also a difference between, you know, domestic violence, a person that has traits, or a person that is in a domestic violence cycle, their motive, versus a person that has narcissistic personality disorder and their motive, because their motive is rooted in the disorder. And so there are similarities and there are differences between the two, and helping you to identify the difference between a general domestic violence or a general emotional abuse, which may also come with physical violence, versus domestic narcissistic abuse, and I'll be talking about that. Also, a lot of the coaching and people that are presenting this information that are, and this is coming from the studies. This is coming from, because as you guys know, I'm going through the certification process for this new field to be nationally recognized as a narcissist abuse provider. It's called Pathological Love Relationship Providers, and I'll be talking about that field of study and the certification for that field of study. But one of the things that was brought up, statistically showing, whether it's in coaching and research that has been conducted, the reason why most treatment approaches fail is because of the fact that we have been taught you cannot diagnose a person with narcissistic personality disorder when you're dealing with the victim or the survivor. But now they have, it's an assessment that we can do now in a clinical setting, and it's not a professional assessment meaning to be used in diagnosis process, but it is an assessment we can now conduct to determine whether that person has been in a pathological relationship, a pathological abusive relationship. So that helps us formulate our treatment plan. But a lot of that treatment plan is also rooted in trauma-informed care. Trauma-informed care and the study of pathology or psychopathology and sociopathy. So the pathological part of narcissist abuse and or narcissistic personality disorder, and how it affects the victims socially, relationship wise, in the workplace, children, how people are affected and how they develop these trauma is let's see, how can we put this? Give me a minute to think and I'll come right back. Got it. Trauma disorders. There we go. And I know that wasn't a whole minute for you guys. It was a minute for me. But so it's trauma disorders. And so a lot of times people are being diagnosed with general anxiety, and things like that. But the focus, after the assessment to see, there's a checklist, and it's a great checklist, and I will use it with my clients. There's a checklist. And these are people that are trained, mental health providers, clinical professionals that are trained in providing services to those that have been through pathological love relationships, narcissist abuse, sociopathy, those that have sociopathy and how they have been affected. And there's a checklist that we can go through now to see their experiences in order to diagnose them with trauma disorders. And there's also a model to be used when treating those that have trauma disorders. And one of the things that came up was, with studies showing that most treatment is ineffective because a lot of this is not interjected into treatment. And they also, the studies also show that a lot of times when you have people that are in the coaching industry or people that are and I hate to be derogatory when I say this, I'm just repeating what is being taught in this certification program, national certification program. But treatment is ineffective, and even the coaching industry and people that say that they're expert, number one, a lot of them are people that are providing information to those that have been traumatized by narcissist or pathological individuals, people with pathological disorders, but a lot of them are people that have experienced it themselves, and they're providing services to those, and they're still traumatized, or they don't have the background in the pathological studies or psychopathy, the study of the psychopathy or the pathology, there we go, the pathology behind narcissism, and on top of that, the differentiation, because now you break up and have a bad relationship, everybody's a narcissist. That's why when they go to court, it's hard for people when they're going through court, because judges, judges and lawyers are hearing all this about narcissist this and narcissist that, because the information is not correct. A lot of it is not correct information that is being put out, and I'm honored to be in the program. You guys go look up Miss Sandra Brown. For those of you that are in New York, I would give you more information if you're also interested in being certified under her program, this national program of the field of this new field of study study, and she's trying to train up enough people so that we can go and advocate, you know, in this situation. And it's very powerful. But you will get continuing education hours, and I'm going to put the flyer at the end of this video. I'll be back, so you guys meet me there, and then meet me at my own conference. I'll see you guys then. You guys have a great day.